Creating a legacy is something both mothers and fathers alike love to do with their children, especially when it comes to attending the same college or university, pledging the same sorority or fraternity, or even following the footsteps as far as the same field of study, and not to mention playing the same sport. Well, this father and son duo has created a legacy, and that legacy consists of both attending HBCUs within the SWAC and playing football. This is a Tomorrow Leader Sports Network, the Legacy Series, and today we discuss Nyles Gaddy, Jackson State defensive end from Nashville, Tennessee, the father and son legacy. The road this young man has traveled would have left many wondering if playing the sport of football was even worth it. This young man has transcended and morphed into something that's going to be special. He stares complicated issues in the eyes and always continues with that "I won't let you outwork me" mentality. Many would have given up by now, but he continues to surge forward. This young man is like a sponge that soaks up everything when it comes to information for him to get better out there on the field. Nyles Gaddy has that hard hat worker's mentality when it comes to doing the work when no one is paying attention or even watching you do the things that's necessary for you to become better at your craft. Where did that mentality come from? Some may know, many may not. But he has a father, Mr. Robert Gaddy himself, that attended Alcorn State University. He was one of Steve Ep1 McNair's offensive linemen for 3 years while attending Alcorn State University. Robert Gaddy played offensive and defensive tackle for the Alcorn State Braves. And according to many of the reports I've heard, the offensive line took it personal that they kept their decorated quarterback, Steve Ep1 McNair, upright on the football field, who was able to set records that have yet to be broken, like surpassing 600 yards of offense in a game, total offense of 16,823 yards, and the single season record of 5,799 yards of total offense. Robert Big Daddy Gaddy, as they called him after his days of playing for the Braves, were drafted to the Arena Football League, playing for 8 years. Mr. Gaddy, putting in the time to continue his football career, made sure he was able to provide for his son Nyles the necessary opportunities to be successful at a sport that they both love. Nyles Gaddy attended Father Ryan High School, which was his mother's alma mater. At Father, Nyles Gaddy played on both sides of the ball as a tight end and defensive end, helping the Fighting Irish get to the Division II Class 3A state playoff quarterfinals. Now, Gaddy was called upon to play out of position in a football game against Christian Brothers High School. Gaddy was asked to play offensive tackle in this game against a 4-star athlete who was being recruited to the University of Georgia. Gaddy did so well in that game that the opposing team coach came up to him after the game to let him know how well of a job he had done against his star athlete. And I must say, job well done, because if you were able to get out there and play out of position and you were able to stop that young man from getting up the field, cause your team's offense to become stagnant or sputter and not be able to move the ball down the field, son, you did a phenomenal job. It came time for Nyles Gaddy to make a decision on where he wanted to take his talents to continue his football career in college. Mr. Gaddy wanted Nyles to take the same road of going to an HBCU and play collegiate football, but instead Nyles deviated from going to an HBCU and went a different direction. Nyles went on to the University of Tennessee. He learned the day-to-day responsibilities of being a Power 5 athlete. He had limited playing time playing for the Volunteers, by playing special teams. Mr. Robert Gaddy wanted Nyles to take the same road as he of going to an HBCU to play collegiate football. Instead, Nyles deviated away from the plan and decided to go in a different direction. Nyles went on to play his first couple of years at the University of Tennessee, where he learned the day-to-day grinds and responsibilities of being a Power 5 athlete. Even though he had limited playing time, only playing special teams, Nyles said, you know what? Enough is enough. And when everyone heard that Nyles Gaddy was leaving Tennessee University for Jackson State, many wonder, who is this young man that's looking to become a part of Coach Prime's Jackson State football program? The legacy now continues. Nyles picked a bitter rivalry to the Braves, where his dad Braves teams had fierce battles during the time his father attended Alcorn State. But the legacy was born. Nyles Gaddy was a blank canvas that was ready to show and prove he was more than ready to compete and play at a high level. He showed up at SWAC Media Day, and that is when the world got to meet Jackson State defensive end Nyles Gaddy. Now, I'm sure when he got the nod from Coach Prime, he had butterflies in his stomach, wondering, how did I get chosen to represent the Jackson State Tigers football team at SWAC Media Day.
A couple times during the spring, it was kind of tough to see the defense get pushed around a little bit. What's the mindset mentality like defensively for Jackson State coming up?
Tough, fast, smart, disciplined.
Y'all told me that for 6 weeks, and I think they graded out maybe 1 week where y'all hit the four
That's the goal. But it's different in saying and actually meaning it. Actually going out there and doing it. Like, that's what we're gonna bring to the table this fall. The spring was a glimpse of what we need to get better on and what we need to work on. This fall is gonna be the finished product.
So you got some dogs that can carry out what your mantra is, which is to be tough, fast, physical, that stuff.
Dogs do. It's time to play now. We ready to play.
I like his attitude. I like his competitive fire. Like, you see it. Like, there's like a little snapback action there. Like, that's good. So how do you channel that aggression or aggressiveness or that fire onto the field for the year?
Every play, it's really is there. I ain't really got a transgression. I just really turns on. When I get on that field, it's ready to go. I got my offense over there. They lighten everything up. They explosive. They fast, and the defense right there with them. So practice is very competitive, and that's all Coach asks us for is competitive.
Who's pushed you most so far since you've been in Jackson State?
Coaches. All of them. They all got high expectations of me.
Any player on the field specifically that's pushed you, that's kind of been, right alongside you, and y'all kind of competitive in nature, and you just want to chime?
Nugget, Aubrey, all of them. We all out there together. So it's a defense. Like, we like a wall. We one unit. So we all push each other to be better every single play.
I'm sure Nyles Gaddy looked at this moment the same he has done so many others in the past and said, "I've worked my tail off to get here, and I'm going to make the most out of this situation." And when Coach Prime announced to the world during SWAC Media Day that Gaddy was named a starter on the defense to the world,
it was radiant. Enthusiasm. Do you still have that same enthusiasm? And two, after seeing a little bit of football during the spring, saw a lot of football, do you all have what it takes to compete for a championship?
Not only do we have the enthusiasm is not only anticipated, but it's expected, but it's really us. That's really who we are. Like, he's not lying. Practice is competition. Like, he's trying to kill the offensive tackles, and they trying to kill him. Like, everyone's competing for time. If he does not have a great day in practice, there's going to be some problems. So everybody's going at it. I can't tell you who's going to start at linebacker. I can't tell you who's going to be the two corners. I can't tell you who's going to be on the front line. I can't tell you who's going to be on the defensive line. I can only tell you who's going to be the right guard and the quarterback. I'm sorry. He's definitely starting. Let's get that straight. Let's get that straight. I have to keep that carrot in front of him, but I really don't have to play with him like that because of his work ethic. And he's focused and directed, not only in school, but not only on the field, but in school, in the weight room, in conditioning. He's that guy. That's why they earned the way here. We didn't choose them. They chose themselves to come here with the way they go about their preparation. What are our expectations?
Dream come true because it validated all the tireless work and effort put in when no one was paying attention. All of the times he went to practice while playing for the Tennessee Volunteers didn't go unnoticed. Nyles Gaddy understood in time. When Coach Prime announced that he had earned a starting position on defense, that sent shockwaves because no one knew who this young man was, and his ability to nod from Coach Prime as the starter against FAMU, folks thought Coach Prime must be crazy. Many didn't know that this young man had scratched and clawed his way to the field to become a starter at JSU. Workouts with trainers, some college coaches who would take time to work with him in the offseason during free time, position him to have one heck of a season. Having missed only one game last season, he was able to eat and be productive out there on the field, allowing his teammates to get off according to the defensive scheme, opening up the gaps for fellow teammates to blitz and slow down opposing teams' offense while protecting the edge, not allowing anyone to get outside of him. And not to mention, Gaddy had in 12 games, he had 16 tackles, 18 assists for a total of 34, 5 tackles for loss, 4 sacks, 1 interception, 2 breakups, and 5 quarterback hurries. He did learn to make himself smaller coming off the edge and use his hands because he understood that speed won't win all the time, especially if that offensive tackle is quick with that lateral first step or able to kick back fast enough to keep the defensive end from getting around that edge. He must have counter moves, and Gaddy showed us all he could go into battle and hold his own. This young man is built for this and will only continue to get better through his studying of the game. This young man is always watching film and looking for tendencies of the opponents that he may face in a game. Young man, keep that fire burning and always continue to keep one to outwork the next man. Keep studying film and never, and I do mean never, let nobody dim that light that's inside that keeps that motor running. Mr. Gaddy, the team effort you and your brave teammates played with back in the 90s is similar to how I see Nyles Gaddy and his Jackson State football teammates playing the game today. I'm sure Nyles will continue to push the like father, like son legacy forward. And thank you all for watching Tomorrow Leader Sports Network Legacy Series episode, Like Father, Like Son.